There was a moment when luxury cars went rogue. Designers stopped following rules and started chasing dreams. The results were wild, expensive, and way ahead of their time. These machines made the giants nervous. Then, they vanished before anyone realized what they'd done. No one talks about them now, but they changed everything. These are the 7 luxury cars that burned bright, broke boundaries, and disappeared into legend. Number 7. Stutz Blackhawk. The year was 1971, and fame had a look. Flashing lights, velvet ropes, and cameras fighting for the best shot. Then came Elvis Presley, stepping out of something no one had ever seen before. Not a Cadillac, not a Rolls. It was the Stutz Blackhawk, a car that redefined what luxury meant in the loudest way possible. This wasn't a car for the shy. The Blackhawk started at $22,000, which would be nearly $180,000 today. With extras, some owners spent triple that. It was pure excess, built for people who didn't want to blend in. Designed by Virgil Exner, the same man behind Chrysler's legendary tail fins, it was all drama and glamour. A massive grille, hidden headlights, and side pipes that screamed attitude. Every line was drawn to turn heads. Open the door and the luxury dial went up again. The interior was covered in fine wood, deep leather, and real gold trim. The carpets were so thick they could have doubled as blankets. Some buyers even ordered mink flooring, just because they could. Every piece felt like a custom-made treasure, down to the gauges that could be ordered in English or Italian. Under the long hood sat a Pontiac-built 455 V8. Big power, big sound, and enough torque to move mountains. Stutz later used engines from other American makers, but the formula stayed the same. Bold looks, huge engines, and reliability that didn't need a chauffeur's degree to maintain. The Blackhawk wasn't built for racing. It was built for a rival. Then came Volkswagen, chasing perfection instead of attention and applause. Number 6. Volkswagen Phaeton. Volkswagen wanted to build the best car in the world, not the best for the price. Just the best, period. The result was the Phaeton, a luxury sedan that cost the company $1.4 billion to create. It came from the same brand known for the Jetta and the Golf. That's where things started to go wrong. The idea came from Ferdinand Piëch, the head of Volkswagen at the time. He wasn't a man who liked limits. He told engineers the car had to cruise at 186 miles per hour all day in desert heat while keeping the inside at a perfect 72 degrees. They didn't argue, they built it. The Phaeton was a masterpiece in design and engineering. It shared parts with Bentley. It had engines that belonged in supercars, a V8, a V10 diesel, and even a W12 that purred like a beast. Inside, it felt more like a luxury jet, real wood, thick leather. Every seat had its own climate control system. You could make one side of the car feel like summer, and the other like winter. But none of that mattered. Buyers didn't want a 6-figure Volkswagen. They saw a big Passat with a fancy badge. Maintenance was brutal and repairs were worse. The Phaeton proved one thing. Even perfection can fail when the logo doesn't fit the price. But while Volkswagen chased perfection, Rolls-Royce went for pure extravagance. Number 5. Rolls-Royce Camargue. For decades, Rolls-Royce had quietly built cars for kings, tycoons, and movie stars. But in 1975, the board wanted something louder. Something that didn't just whisper wealth, but announced it. So they called in Sergio Pininfarina, the Italian designer who made Ferraris look like art. His task was simple: create the most expensive, most outrageous Rolls-Royce ever built. The result was the Camargue, and it was unlike anything the brand had ever done. It was the first Rolls designed by someone outside the company, and the first two-door in decades. The body looked part British elegance, part Italian flair. Wide stance, long hood, low roof, and angles that made it look both elegant and stubborn. Some critics said it looked like a Lincoln in formal wear. Others called it awkwardly beautiful. Either way, it demanded attention. Inside, luxury reached new heights. The seats were wrapped in butter-soft leather. The carpets were lamb's wool, deep enough to lose your shoes in. A built-in cocktail cabinet waited in the back, ready for an afternoon martini. The air conditioning was a marvel for its time. It used a 2-level system that could keep the driver cool and the passenger warm at the same time. That was cutting-edge technology in the 1970s. Power came from a 6.75-liter V8 that moved the car with a calm, steady grace. The Camargue wasn't about speed, it was about presence. It cost twice as much as the Silver Shadow, and only 529 were ever made. Too rare, too bold, and far too expensive to fit in. That's exactly why it stood out. Years later, a Korean brand decided to challenge that same exclusivity. Number 4. Hyundai Equus. In 2011, Hyundai decided to sell a $60,000 luxury sedan in America. For most people, that sounded like a setup for a joke. A Hyundai that cost as much as a Mercedes, but the Equus was no joke. It was Hyundai's shot at proving they could play with the big names. The idea had been brewing for years. Back in 1999, Hyundai launched the first Equus in Korea. It was their take on the Mercedes S-Class, and did surprisingly well at home. They knew the US market wasn't ready then, so they waited until they had some credibility. When the Genesis sedan found success, Hyundai saw their chance. The Equus arrived fully loaded. Real leather, real wood, adaptive cruise, air suspension, and a 17-speaker Lexicon audio system. Rear seats reclined and massaged, complete with footrests, entertainment screens, and a small fridge. It felt more like a moving office than a car. Hyundai even reinvented the luxury experience. They brought test drives to your home, gave new owners an iPad instead of a manual, and picked up your car for service. The Equus drove like a dream, powered by a smooth V8 that felt effortless. But the badge held it back. Luxury buyers weren't ready to say they spent $60,000 on a Hyundai. It blended in when it should have stood out. Hyundai had the right car, just not the right name. But long before Hyundai tried, Nissan had already taken that risk. Number 3. Infiniti Q45. In 1989, Toyota stunned the world with the Lexus LS 400. It was quiet, refined, and instantly became the gold standard for Japanese luxury. Nissan didn't take that lightly. They wanted their own flagship, something that would stand apart. That's how the Infiniti Q45 was born. It wasn't trying to copy Lexus. It wanted to be something different, bold, strange, and maybe even a little rebellious. Right away, the Q45 made people look twice. Lexus played it safe with its Mercedes-inspired shape. Infiniti went the opposite way. They removed the front grille completely. It was clean, minimal, and futuristic. Some people called it daring. Others thought it looked unfinished. But the real story began under the hood. The Q45 packed a 4.5-liter aluminum V8 that produced 278 horsepower and nearly 300 pound-feet of torque. It revved high, pulled hard, and shocked reviewers who expected a lazy luxury cruiser. The car hit 60 in just over 7 seconds and handled like something half its size. Nissan even added wild technology for the time. There was 4-wheel steering, traction control, and an optional hydraulic active suspension that kept the car perfectly level through corners. The problem wasn't the engineering, it was the marketing. While Lexus showed calm, elegant commercials that oozed class, Infiniti showed rocks, waves, and trees. You didn't even see the car. People couldn't tell what Infiniti was trying to sell. It felt confusing, even pretentious. In the end, the Q45 had everything it needed to win except a clear identity. It was fast, advanced, and beautifully made, but it never found the love it deserved. Well, history repeated itself when Cadillac tried to earn respect the same way. Number 2. Cadillac CT6. Cadillac was tired of the old joke that their cars were made for people between 60 and death. In 2016, they decided to change the story. The result was the CT6, a sharp, confident sedan built to take on the Germans and drag the brand into a new era. It wasn't another oversized cruiser, it was Cadillac reinvented. The CT6 looked clean and modern. Every line felt deliberate. It had presence without showing off. Underneath, Cadillac used a brand new aluminum and steel platform that made it lighter and stiffer than its rivals. For once, a big American sedan didn't float like a boat. It handled with real control. Reviewers were stunned. Cadillac had built something that could keep up with BMW on twisty roads. Inside, it was pure class. The plastic and fake wood were gone. Real leather, brushed metal, and carbon fiber took over. The seats reclined, cooled, heated, and even massaged. The cabin was whisper quiet, shutting out the chaos outside. Then came the real showpiece, the Blackwing 4.2-liter twin-turbo V8. Hand-built, powerful, and brutally smooth. It pushed out 550 horsepower and reminded everyone that Cadillac still knew speed. They even added Super Cruise, a hands-free driving system that actually worked. The CT6 had everything it needed to win except buyers. People with six-figure budgets still chased German badges. By 2020, Cadillac gave up on a car that proved they could do better but couldn't convince the world to believe it. Yet where Cadillac's gamble failed, Aston Martin's wild risk paid off. Number 1. Aston Martin Lagonda Series 2. It was 1976, and Aston Martin was running out of time. The money was drying up, and the pressure was heavy. The solution came in the form of something wild, something nobody saw coming. The Lagonda Series 2. A four-door luxury sedan so strange and so ahead of its time that it actually kept the company alive. From the moment it appeared, the Lagonda didn't just turn heads, it stopped people in their tracks. Long, sharp, and impossibly flat, it looked like it had been drawn with a ruler from the future. Compared to the soft curves of other luxury sedans, this car looked like it had landed from another planet. People lined up just to put their names down. The deposits alone gave Aston Martin the cash it desperately needed. Inside, things got even wilder. The Series 2 was the first production car ever built with a fully digital dashboard. In the 1970s, that felt like science fiction. Green LED readouts flickered across the dash, touch-sensitive buttons replaced switches, and the single-spoke steering wheel looked straight out of a spaceship. It felt more like piloting than driving. Under all the drama sat a hand-built 5.3-liter V8, borrowed from the Aston Martin 5.8 Vantage. It produced 280 horsepower and delivered the kind of effortless performance buyers expected from a car that looked this dramatic. Inside, luxury overflowed. Hand-stitched leather, rich carpets, and real wood surrounded every surface. The Lagonda wasn't perfect, but it was unforgettable. Only 645 were built, yet it carried Aston Martin through one of its darkest periods. It was bold, risky, and brilliant. The kind of madness that only Aston Martin could make work. And that's a wrap. 7 cars that dared to dream bigger than their time allowed. Did you find the video helpful? Let us know in the comments. And click here for the next one. Thanks for watching.